So, can you please, possibly, that's my brother Ronnie, Ron Buckets. Can you possibly explain to him, because we had this argument a while back ago, that steroids does not make you hit home runs. That steroids does not make you hit home runs. That steroids does not make you hit home
Nada
runs.
más y nada menos que el rey de grito, Luis Polonia. Muchas gracias por darme la oportunidad.
BarrelUp podcast was here.
Tenemos un gran contenido con un pilar de béisbol, Domingo Leiva, segunda base de las grandes ligas de Arizona Diamondbacks. Mi hermano, ¿cómo te sientes?
Tranquilo, manito, gracias a Dios, ¿sabes?
BarrelUp podcast was here.
Ese es mi compañero Darrell. Bienvenido a BarrelUp Podcast. Gracias por
BarrelUp podcast was here.
mi hermano Willy Adames.
¿Qué lo que, brother? ¿Qué lo que? Dime a ver,
Siento,
bro. Todo bien, ¿y tú cómo tú estás?
BarrelUp podcast was here. We were here. You need to be here. History was made tonight. Where were you? It's been a pleasure.
Yo, what's going on, my guy?
What's going on, brother? What's going on? Nice to see you, man.
Good to see you too, man. How's everything?
Beautiful, man. Nice to finally meet you, man. My name is John Carlos. Welcome to BarrelUp Podcast, the platform. For those that we have some fans there. For those who don't know, this is Lorenzo.
Yeah, my name is Lorenzo Bernardus Jr., but I go by Coach Zoe.
Nice to meet you, man. Thank you for taking out the time to, talk about interesting things throughout the game of baseball.
Mm-hmm.
It's very nice to have somebody that has played the game at a very high level. You went pro. Give their insight on baseball and on the topic of the hour that I always wanted to get into, steroids and baseball and the misconception that, fans have and people have around the sport and around the steroids. Like, people think that steroids give you these magic powers where you can hit home runs and throw 90 miles per hour, and there's a big misconception. But without further ado, brother, before we start, I want to give you some time so you can introduce yourself and let people know, a little bit about your journey and who you are and how baseball has impacted your life. So go ahead.
Well, I'm born and raised in the South Bronx. Two immigrant parents from Honduras. So baseball was not really a thing that my family ever really did. But growing up in the South Bronx in the 90s, it's a predominantly, Black, Latino, Dominican, Puerto Rican. So you got to play baseball. Like, it's going to be a thing that you do.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
that's how I was introduced to baseball. Like, just playing baseball in the neighborhood, just going around, having a good time. Baseball for me has always just been something that kept me safe. I know for a lot of players, they could say the same thing. It kept us out of trouble. It kept us, from being out of the way. I think for any kid that played a sport in the inner city, like, that's what sports did for the majority of us. Like,
Definitely.
instead of being in the block, you had practice or you had a game. And then, when you start playing baseball at a higher level, now you're outside of New York. You're getting exposure to different states and different countries and things like that. So that's where a lot of my journeys began. But, not being a native-born baseball player or a natural-born baseball player, my journey is all about hard work. So that's why I'm always going to circle around hard work. But I also want to talk about academics, being academically eligible, as they say, as you get older. Like, all the talent in the world means nothing if you can't play.
That's facts.
So it is one thing that, I know the young kids, they see kids on Instagram, going to Vanderbilt and going to all these top schools. Listen, if your grades ain't right, you're not going to Vanderbilt. Like, no matter how hard you throw, how good you are, it does not matter. Like, them grades have to be good too. So I know my platform, is lit, but it's not the sexiest. Why? Because I talk about the things that make people uncomfortable.
You talk about the truth. I've seen a little bit of your platform. I've been checking it, man. You talk about the truth that people don't want to hear, especially athletes.
But it's ugly, and it's not the most prettiest thing to hear, but it's actually the truth,
Yeah, man.
And to be honest, I wish somebody was that honest with me. That's just me as a person. But I feel like as an athlete, we're all competing for the exact same thing. We're all just going to get there differently. You know,
Yeah.
I'm sure the majority of us wanted our names called in the high school draft. Didn't happen. But, you go to college, you want to see your name in the draft. Maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. For some guys, some guys get that opportunity. That was a part of their journey and their own path. But we're
Yeah.
all on our own journey in our own path. You know what I'm saying? That we have to figure out as individuals,
Yeah, of course, of course. There's something common that we have. I do my research before I do my show and stuff.
Yeah.
So apart from the game of baseball, there's something in common that we have, and it's in when you talk about college. College and
Hmm.
how people have to be academically sound, especially athletes. If you want to play on the field, you have to be getting your grades up, because if not, you're not going to play. And
Yeah.
surprisingly enough, we played in the same division without even knowing,
Oh, wow.
in the
That's
CAC.
in the CAC. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
CSFP.
I played for Dominican College.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
you probably know Skip, the manager.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, that guy, Rick Giannetti. That guy really taught you what it was to hold yourself accountable as a player, first and foremost as a student and as a player. And kids don't really understand the college journey.
Yeah.
They really don't know what they're getting themselves into. And I also wished I knew a little bit more about the journey, the process. There was a lot of players that did this and did that to get noticed even more in front of college coaches. I went through a journey where, it wasn't the most favorable, knowing that I had talent. And it goes back to tying it into, I would say, steroids as well. Players juicing, maximizing their potential.
Yeah.
But there's a right way to do things, and there's a bad way to do things. And
Mm-hmm.
I would say that, sure, I would never in my life kiss ass or have to think to inject myself to prove myself to a coach or somebody. Nah,
Yeah.
I think hard work has always prevailed within my play and within my career in baseball. And it's not easy. It's not easy making it to the draft. So people just think, oh yeah, I'm gonna play baseball. I'm gonna go hard in college. No, especially coming from the Northeast.
Yeah. No, it's something that it's a tougher journey. We have, it's full of obstacles,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes you have to sort of kind of look at obstacles as kind of turn it into your favor. Like, do I want this or do I not? Like, am I gonna go throw today? Am I gonna go run today? Am I gonna go lift today? Like, those are choices. Those are daily choices that you have to make. So I know for me, if it cracked a certain temperature, I'm going outside the throw. Like, that's mandatory. I have to.
Yes.
As a
Yes.
Northeast player, I just have to do certain things. And it's harder, but it's not impossible. And that's why I feel like certain players, who are willing to leave New York City, or because you see New York City players get drafted out of other parts of the country. Like those,
Texas, Florida.
yeah, exactly. Those are
Yeah.
New York athletes, but
Mm-hmm.
they just had the courage to go venture off, and
Mm-hmm.
go out there and handle business. So going back to where my journey was, I started to peak, around like 14. Like, that's when things started to change for me. And I'll tell you this is why as a coach, I know how to bring two different angles, right? I played in Paulino, Liga
In the
Paulino for
Bronx,
like,
Liga
yeah,
Paulino.
yeah.
Yeah,
I was in Paulino.
very famous
That's a fact,
league.
right? So I was in Paulino for the beginning of my career, right? And I had two different coaches. I played for Papacito, and that was Coach Rene, right? Head him up.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had Coach Miguel when I was a little older. And the difference between those two guys is that Coach Rene, he could take talent and take it to the next level. And Coach Miguel, he could take a guy like me that was raw and I just needed to be coached up, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why for me, I see there's two kinds of coaches out there. Not everybody can take lemons and make lemonade.
Of course
You know,
not. Of course not.
it's just not every coach is built that way. So if me as a coach, I'm able to push my star guys or higher level guys to a further level, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
also able to push along the guys who may not be quote unquote the guys on the team.
Of course. Of
So
course.
moving forward, I went to Hollows for 2 years, had a pretty good stint there, but I got an opportunity to go to boarding school. So I ended up going to prep school in Connecticut, and that's when my career really took off.
Okay.
Um, Academically sound, solid career, championship, all league, all of that stuff. I'll tell guys this: it gets to a point, right, where you get to be a high school senior,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to ask yourself, where do you want to go to play? But it's a mixture of where you want to go and who's recruiting you, right?
Correct.
Because not all of us have the luxury of going to our dream school or wherever we see ourselves playing.
Right.
So this is where I'm always going to try to give advice with when I'm talking about myself, but try to go to a school where you fit. You just have to be honest about that. Like a lot of us think we can be a Georgia Bulldog or a Florida Gator or go to LSU or go to, but you may not fit that program. Like your skill set and what you can offer to a team may not fit that team.
Correct.
So really do your homework and get yourself out there and ask coaches the honest questions, because coaches, some are liars, some will lie to you
Yes.
just to get you to get to their school.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I sort of kind of when I heard red shirt, I was like, nope. So I already any school that was talking about red shirt,
I had
you
the
out
red
the
shirt.
window.
I had the red shirt my first year. I didn't even know what red shirt meant when they mentioned it to me the first time. So I understand.
So here's the thing. So looking back, I should have took that red shirt. I would have went D1,
Mm-hmm.
right? Instead, I went D2, where they told me I was going to play at post, which I went to post and got drowned. I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about buried. Like, I'm sure I would have probably fit out of school like Dominican, out of school like Bridgeport, where you have guys so what red shirt means is that means you're going to sit out a year. So you're going to practice. You're still a part of the
Mm-hmm.
team. You still have all the requirements, but you can't play, right?
Right. You have
So
all the requirements.
yes,
Well, academically, you might not have. That's what happened in my case.
yes.
Academically, I didn't have it, not because I wasn't succeeding during the semester, because you need a 3.0 to play. I had a 3.3, but my credits, I went to school in DR. Like, I have a big journey with baseball, I went to school in DR, and my credits, my transcript from Dominican Republic over here didn't match. Therefore, I was lacking some credits, and I had to remake them up spring when the season started. That was the hardest thing for me to comprehend as an 18-year-old college student freshman.
Yeah. No, yeah. So you sit you go through everything, but you just can't travel the game or go to games and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. Most times it's an academic reason like yours. It could be a developmental reason. It could be a something as a injury or something like that. So the good thing is that you don't lose your year. You still have 4 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, it's actually a good thing. If I had somebody who sort of kind of broke that down to me a little more, I would have probably went that route. I should have went to another D2 school that gave me the bag to go. So I should have
Really?
went that route. But instead, I went to the guy who told me that I was gonna play, right? So I went based off that. Like that was the majority of my decision. Like he said, I'm gonna play, so I'm going that route. I think post for me was just a place where I was just supposed to grow as an individual, as a man. Like,
Yeah.
so that's what post did for me. It really got me to a point where I found life outside of baseball just because baseball was no longer going my way. I was no longer the top player. I was no longer the guy. I was a guy actually my coach hated. And, I did everything to try to please him, whether it was academically, do the right
Why
thing in
did why did
school.
your coach? You say why? Yo, we have a lot in common, man.
Yeah.
Why do you think your coach hated you? And when you said that you went to a school where they told you that you were gonna play, I can relate to that 100%, 100%. Coming from the Northeast players, pay attention for real.
So, one, my coach was a racist. Like,
Yes, yes. I'm
facts.
sorry. I'm sorry.
100%
That's a
facts.
fact, bro.
So, they have their favorites, but even if you're a Latin player, I mean, I wish you saw more black players, but even if you're a Latin player, like if you're not his guy, like yeah, he'll recruit you, but
Hmm.
there's just a disconnect, between where we come from and where they come from. So
Right.
they just see us they just see us as baseball players. That's it. We're not
Hmm.
human beings. They don't care about our families. They don't care about our well-being. As long as you're academically eligible and you can play for them, that's all they care about. Now, I've seen guys hit below 200 and start the whole season. You know, that to me, as a coach myself and as a player, like that makes no sense. You know, why are you going to ride this guy who is batting 200? You know,
Hmm.
for what? You know, so that to me didn't make much sense, but I sort of kind of took it as, you know what? There's something for me to learn out of all of this. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna really focus on my grades, and I'm just gonna focus on life off the field. Even though I was still on the team all 4 years, I went through my two knee surgeries.
Two knee
Academically, I was
surgeries. Wow.
both one my sophomore year and one summer of sophomore year going into junior year. So I missed that fall. So I was ready to play my sophomore year, but they told me like, you know what, just worry about next year. So I was like, all
Hmm.
right, whatever.
Hmm.
Then I get there in the fall and I couldn't because I just had surgery in July. So
Yeah.
here I am, you know, a guy this guy's not a fan of, and I get hurt playing
Mm.
basketball over the summer of all things. So there that was, you know, but I had internship. I found my love of coaching, you know, because that was my summer job. Because I'm like, I'm not gonna play summer ball. I can't, so I'm gonna get a summer job coaching, and that's where Coach Zoe started to flow.
Coach Zoe.
And you know, so I finished college, you know, coaching baseball. I'm at the baseball center at that point. I was there for a little while, then I moved on to the Bulldogs. And when I was at the Bulldog was when, you know, Coach Angel really put the plug in my back. He's like, yo, you really young, you know, to be coaching, like, for a living, you know, like, you know, most guys do this, like, in their, like, late 20s, early 30s. Like,
Hmm.
most guys aren't doing this at
Essentially, yeah.
23. Yeah, essentially, yeah. Like, you know, it depends. Like, if you're done, you're done. But I never was really done. You know, I just always still had the itch. But my life sort of kind of needed to make sense for me to go back to it. So I was fortunate enough to align myself with the right people. He was drafted by the Colorado Rockies out of DR. So then he was like, yeah, shout out to Coach Angel. So he was like, you know what? Train with me. So here I am, you know, training with this
At
ex
what
big
age?
leaguer.
At what age is this?
This is 24. So I'm
Wow.
24
I'm
now, right?
24.
So I'm 24 now, right? My
Hmm.
mom told me to pack it up. You know, the block gave up on me. Everybody's like, yo, he's as good as, you know, he's good waste. You know what I'm saying? He's done.
Hmm.
But for me, it was just like, I still see it in my dreams. You know, I could still see it. I could still like envision myself being out there. So it just had to get to a point where why baseball made sense and why I'm happy I went pro at 25 because there were so many life skills that I had to attain first before that was possible. So for
Yeah.
those young guys out there still grinding, maybe pro does not make sense in your life right now. Maybe you're just not ready for it, and that's just the honest truth.
They got to leave the ego aside. They have to leave the
Ego
ego
aside,
aside.
pride aside, it just may not fit where you are in life. And there's gonna be things that you're gonna be so appreciative of that you learned before you got there, right?
Hmm.
One small thing, I'll give you one small lesson, right? The ability to cook, right? I went to an
You
right?
learned that.
Follow me. So I went to an internship the summer before, right, in DC, right? And I was living on my own. So, you know, you can't buy food every day. It adds up. You know, it's an unpaid internship, you
Right.
know, so, you know, I started cooking, right? Boom. The next summer, I'm living in the Hamptons, coaching at the baseball center. I mean, the Bulldogs, right? So then that's
Hmm.
where cooking, you know, I took it to another level. Now the next summer, I'm playing my first pro season in Austria. So I'm in a whole nother country, right?
You want to
So here,
you got a professional contract in Austria?
in Austria, yeah. So that's why I played overseas. So then you see that little life skill. Like, had I learned how
You
to, like,
learned.
had I been 23, I would have went out there and struggled a little bit because I would have had to figure out yet another skill that I have to do every day, as opposed to life taking its course and teaching me. And I
Uh-huh.
got there. When I got there, I had some skills, how to manage my money. I was more mature. Um, just time management and discipline to the game, and a small life skill such as cooking that helped me feed myself every day. You know,
Hmm.
so for those young guys out there, it's not the prettiest thing. Like I always say, it's not the sexiest thing to hear, but it's the God honest truth. Like maybe you're just not ready at that point.
Right.
And I was ready when I was 25 for sure.
I'm gonna tell you this much, man. It amazes me the way that you think now because I think the same way. You know, number one, baseball is hard as it is. If you're going to be a baseball player, don't think it's going to be. Not to say that football is not hard, basketball is not hard.
Yeah.
But in reality, to make it as a professional in baseball, it's hard. It's like the hardest thing, the hardest sport to make it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I tell my players now, because I coach now at 24,
Yeah.
those that want to make it, that want to go D1, that want to have the best opportunity to make it, to be in front of pro scouts, I'm brutally honest, as I should say. And with the parents that tell me, "Oh, can my son make it?" Like, I seen you coach. You have a good technique of coaching. You know what you're transmitting to these guys. I want you to coach my son. I'm not saying to them, "Yeah, I'm gonna make your son an MLB star."
Yeah.
I'm telling them the honesty. Listen, I'm gonna evaluate your son, and I'm gonna tell you, what the options are. I'm not saying that I know them all, that I know what's going to happen. But you, as a person, as a player that has had experience, that's played pro, I played basically semi-pro,
Yeah.
So, especially here in the Northeast, in New York, you got to leave those egos and pride aside. If you want to be drafted out of high school, you got to be basically a phenom, because the odds are against you here with the snow and stuff like that. So you have to have an open mindset to working harder than anybody, to even taking your talents down south, and being around people that are going to coach you, that are going to give you the honest truth. Because if there's one thing that I would ask my coaches from the past to have shown me better, is to not praise a player so much. "Oh, you're doing great. You're doing great." No, because that gives the player such type of ego and such type of I'm thinking I'm the best, that they don't even work hard.
Yeah.
So college players here in the Northeast and in anywhere, they have to get educated. They have to find somebody that is going to push them and that knows the ropes. If I would have known, I would have gone JUCO first. I would have gone JUCO before I went to a 4-year school. Because if you could get your grades up in JUCO 2 years, there's a lot of JUCO programs. JUCO guys is junior college, 2-year program, where you can even get better as a player or even get drafted. There's schools out here in the United States where they're powerhouse JUCOs and stuff.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that? What do you think about advising a player nowadays when it comes to a 4-year school, when it comes to going for that school, like you said, that's telling you to play, that they're gonna have you play? It's not like that always.
I mean, what I would say was to the young kids, just evaluate your game and be honest with yourself, and then look to how you can contribute to that team. So if your skill set fits, like some guys, you're probably a scrappy utility player, right? So try to find a program that fits your game, because at the honest truth, like, if you don't fit in, you don't fit in,
Right.
and college coaches, it's not like basketball where you can sort of kind of you could make your defense or your offense, and you can like sort of kind of build it around the person.
Right.
Like, baseball is not really that kind of game where you could just like kind of do that, So be honest with yourself. Go to a school and be like, "Hey, this is what I can do. These are my plans," and go where you feel comfortable. Go where you fit.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? Because if you're just going there to play baseball, then think about life without baseball at that school. Because it's an honest truth. Like, look at me, 2 knee surgeries. One of them, I was living on campus, so I had to get picked up by security and take a shuttle to school every day. There was no baseball. Yeah, there was no baseball. So here I am living life on this campus, not doing what I told myself I was here to do.
Correct.
That's a hard reality to live with. So maybe you can see yourself there as a regular student. Go if you like good weather, and try to find a school with good weather. But also check that financial aid. You know what I'm saying? That's a huge part of it as well. Is that money has to make sense.
It does.
College sports is a business at the end of the day. Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt. That is a very, very important point because, brother, I've seen a lot of players that got contracts like sports what's it called, scholarships, contract by school scholarships, right, to play
Mhm.
baseball, and in a year some of them got injured and then they lost their scholarship. They couldn't even
Clip,
afford that school.
clip, clip. Just like that. Just like, and listen,
And
if
you
we talk,
you
look,
can't even talk to your coach, to your manager. Oh, yo, are you gonna give me some money? I'm sorry, because they
nah,
already had the budget for next year.
he already recruited the next guy.
Yeah.
The next guy's already on his way. You know, so that's just the God honest truth. And I know it's
Mhm.
not pretty. I know we don't want to live with those negative thoughts, but you also sort of kind of have to sort of kind of be in tune with reality and what's to come. You know, and it's harsh. You know, it sucks, but it really is what it is. You know, so cool. I'm 24. You know, all right, cool. I'm gonna get back into the swing of things. So I start training again, start getting back in shape. Life really starts to really start clicking. You know, like my homie at Pro Swing, he's like, "Yo, come swing here." Uh, my homies at the baseball center, they let me come swing there.
You had
I'm
support.
at, it has support, right? So, you know, this is one of the things that a lot of New York City players or players around the country are gonna relate with. Now you're a young man now, so yeah, you still living at mommy's house, but you got to work too. You
Hmm.
know, so I'm working, 40 hours a week or as much as I can, doing private lessons on the side, and also trying to keep my dream alive. You know,
Of
so
course.
that goes into full circle of what my life is at that moment,
Hmm.
and it's not easy for those guys still trying to work and still trying to train and um still trying to do things that like I said, keep their dream alive. So boom, I get to that summer and I got three contracts, right? One from Germany and another one from Austria, and they sent them. It's like they send you a draft. You look it over and then you return to it. Now, all of this is all phone calls on WhatsApp and email. So
Hmm.
you're just trying to, you don't know this person, you're just feeling it out,
Hmm.
as you go through the process. All three teams sent me contracts. All three teams moved on from me. Like they're like, yeah, we signed somebody else. So that's a pivotal moment in my career because I could either one pack it up or I could go at it again.
At the age of 24,
At age
decisions.
24, right? So at that point, boom, I'm like, listen, what didn't I do this off season? And what could I do the following one to make sure that I get a contract and it sticks? So I was like, there has to be something that I wasn't doing that they didn't see in those videos or something that I put in the universe that I wasn't all the way committed. And that's where luckily I got introduced to CJ from Turn 2 Fitness. And
One of the best coaches here in New
one,
York.
one of the best trainers in the city, one of
Trainers,
the best
yep.
trainers in the country. And he turned everything around for me, so now I had the trainer. Now I was like, you know what? Let me change my work schedule up so that, I have times where I could just train. So then I started doing security on the weekends because that's easy money and that pays you every week. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? So now the bill money is taken care of and, I'm doing other stuff. So it's like, I just because you need to allocate the time to train like as hard as you can. You know what I'm saying? Also sleep, eat
Hmm.
right, and train as hard as you can.
Yeah. Every day.
So I told myself, this is a little extreme, guys. Take it for face value. But I told myself, if I die training this year, I know I died giving it my all. So I just went with that mentality that I'm gonna just go balls to the wall every single day. Like I'm gonna just get after it every single day, whether I'm sore. Maybe I'll go take 40 swings still, even though I'm sore,
Hmm.
and I'm still gonna go. And mind you, I live in the Bronx. CJ's over there out in Queens. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And I was at CJ 5 days a week. You know what I'm saying? I was taking my hour and a half train ride every day to get there.
That's
Then
what it
going to work
takes
afterward. And
from a
that's what
New
it
York
takes.
player, right here. That's what it takes.
So
I'm sorry, but the
you know,
commitment.
so so for those older guys, I know mommy and Bobby gave up on you already. They say, yo, listen, Sakao, it's over.
Hmm.
You know, now it's up to you to buy your bats, buy your cleats, get your equipment, go train, pay trainers, all of that stuff. It's all on you. So I know it's a lot, and that could be a lot, but it's all for the greater good of fulfilling your dream. So that's where I say how you live off the field affects how you live on the field. So you guys should be paying attention to your mindset and everything you go through,
The
those
most important,
obstacles, because it goes hand in hand.
most important thing too, your support system. It's like you have it hard as it is in New York because of the weather conditions. Kids aren't that committed. Those are the ones that are usually have a good support system, good coaches, good support system. Mom and dad are there. If you want to make it, as far as you can from New York, you have to be a little hard on yourself. I had a kid, 17-year-old junior. Kid has talent, right? He doesn't get that much support from his parents, because it's not just money. It's about, being there for your kid and watching them get
The
better.
emotional support.
And, building their mind, because you need a lot of discipline and a lot of tough love in the sport, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And, we were training. He was getting better. I said, listen, if you really ball out this junior year, you're going to get noticed. And you're going to start receiving some college attention. Yo, stick with me. Don't give up on me. When I go hard on you, I'll go hard on you for a reason. If you really want to make it, keep it up. I'm your support system. The kid quit. The kid quit, bro. Quit baseball. And I see that happening a lot here in New York because there isn't that many coaches that want the best for an athlete, for their well-being, for, their future. They just feed off flipping some baseballs, getting their money, getting their, their stuff, and not really having a connection with their player. Sometimes the coach is good, but all they care about is making some profit off the player, training them, talking to the parents, and stuff like that, and not really connecting to a player where, they can actually get better. And when, those players that do sign in the offseason, they come back to their coaches. Those type of coaches, that's what we're lacking here in New York.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
you got Coach Ferber. Coach Ferber is a very good coach. He does that. CJ turned two, but we need more.
Yeah, we do need more. I think it's more about the long-term relationship. Worrying about who that player, who he or she may become down the road. That really matters, and that's really important. It's just not riding the wave of the hype of that player. Right. It's also making sure that he or she is a good person, and is doing the right thing on and off the field. And so for some coaches, they are willing to go take the extra step, and other coaches, it just doesn't really matter. And that's where we're getting these influx of poor coaches.
Correct. Correct. That doesn't go to say that just because at that time, when there was poor coaches or if, ands, or buts, that the player doesn't have to find a way to make it work. The player has to find a way to make it work. And that is a lesson that I learned in college.
Mm-hmm.
College coaches here, they're not going to be on you every day to make sure you get your BP reps. Make sure you get your soft tossing. Make sure you get your running in as pitchers. We do the team practices, but after that, you're on your own.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it takes a level of accountability. It takes a level of discipline. It takes a level of commitment that one must ask themselves, do I really want to do this? Like you said. And it proves to work because not only did you go pro, you went pro in another country. It doesn't, guys, by the way, it doesn't just have to be MLB. It doesn't just have to be MLB, bro.
It is, bro.
There's people making, my boy asked me this summer, I was playing stellar baseball again this summer, right? Last summer too, but this summer I really got into my field. He told me, why don't you go to Italy or some other league? He was like, they pay like $500,000 a year. I'm like, I would have to start getting looked at by stuff like that and things like that. And I wouldn't say I've hung up the cleats in my mind, but now I'm more into coaching. I'm creating this platform to show what I'm about on the giving back to baseball side. You know what I'm saying? Keeping the sport alive. Not doubting that I can't not do it, but my efforts are into other things nowadays. And I
Hmm.
feel that, a union, let's say me and you and others, we can form a union, a base where players that have potential, that need the right guidance, that need the right training, can come to us here in the tri-state area of New York
Yeah.
and not think about steroids, which is the big topic that we're going to touch on now in a few seconds. Steroids, 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 steroids.
You know, I remember, my first game. You know, my first professional hit was a dribbler down the line. You know,
That must have been the best feeling ever. You got that one out the way.
yeah, I got it out the way. And my second hit was a home run. So like, all right, the home run pressure's over, the base hit is over. Like you just get to play and relax.
Correct.
I cried running the bases when I hit the home run, and
I can imagine.
it's just when you love the game and you sacrifice so much, um, you really you just feel that pain, and you just feel so happy, because you know what you put in, you
Mm-hmm.
know what you sacrificed, all those early mornings, and all those late nights in the lab trying to get better, you know, and just to win a championship out there was amazing. I met so many guys from all over the country, guys from the U.S. playing out there. And guys, I'm telling you, man, if you really trying to make it, yo, bro, there's opportunities everywhere. I could put
Everywhere.
dudes. Listen, if you listening and you serious about baseball, you finish college, whatever, and you still trying to play, I could put you on overseas. Like I'm really the plug. Al Dominguez is my man's.
Do they
I
do
met
they
him.
pay? Do they pay relatively good?
Here's the thing: my first contract was trash, right? Because I have like they going based off your numbers in the states.
Mm-hmm.
Your boy ain't had no numbers,
I
right?
feel you.
But you can see in my film that this dude is nice. Like the hands, the
The
bat
bat.
speed, all that. So all I need is somebody, and this is for my hungry dudes out there. All you need is an opportunity.
It's a
So
fact.
I didn't care about the money. This is the thing. This is where coaching helps. My player contract was a base 450 euros a month, right? But I made a lot of money coaching because you also coach the kids. So that was like a part of like I worked that out in the contract. So I end up making over 1,000 euros a month, but a lot of that came from coaching, right?
Right.
But I didn't care because all I needed was an opportunity. I didn't care about the money. I just needed to get myself in the door. So
Mm-hmm.
don't always worry about the dollar amount, guys. You still have a job to do once you get there. My second contract was double the amount of my first one because I went out there and hit 457. So
Four fifty
what was it
seven.
going 457? So what was it going to tell me then? You know what I'm saying? I went out there and bugged out. You know what I'm saying? Next year came back 412, 15 home runs, and we won the chip. What can you tell me then?
So you were a
So
power hitter, huh?
I was a I consider myself more of a hitter. Like
No
I me
juice. No juice.
none. I tell you
Ah.
none. And I tell you this, AV baseball. What's up, baby? That's one of my one of my
I'm gonna take a second out to give thanks to
right.
all the fans that are joining us. But keep
Yeah,
going.
Adam Vyman, one of the greatest coaches out there. So what we had was, I consider myself more of my approach is just to hit the ball hard. I work on things, working on my hands, working on getting my barrel to the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I got a little more pop that year from things that we worked on, but for me, this is the questions I'm gonna ask you guys, right? You rather be on first base or in the dugout, So everyone is going to answer first base. So
Of
for me,
course.
I don't care how I got to first base as long as I'm on the base path and not in the dugout. So that's why you can see a guy. I was able to hit over 400 2 seasons, but I actually hit a good amount of home runs, but my average was like 357 at the time, something like that. And I
That's
wasn't
not
really
bad.
feeling. It's not bad, but for us in that league, we got to hit four and better. Like
Four and
in
better.
that
Four
league,
and
you
better
got to
is a
hit.
300 here.
Yes, yes, exactly. I had a I had a standard, I had a goal, and I was like, you know what? Let me go back to the season before and let me shorten up. You know what I'm saying? As long as I get my barrel to the ball, I'm gonna make it happen. So I was trying to create, you know, with the lift, I was trying to create some energy here when really like I just needed to be me and stay still and load and swing,
Right.
you know, and that's what helped me. So
That's a good point right
uh
there.
so know who you are as a hitter. Somebody asks you who you are as a hitter, you should be able to answer them.
Shout out to everybody that has, first and foremost, thank you guys for joining the live. This is BarrelUp Podcast today with Lorenzo Bernardez, right? AKA Coach Zoe. He's a coach as well as I am here in the tri-state area in New York. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for the support. As always, subscribe to the YouTube channel, BarrelUp_baseball. Sorry, that's the Instagram page. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, BarrelUp Podcast, and follows Coach Zoe as well. If you want to put the link there or the channel name so people can follow you, as this is a different aspect of the world of baseball that we live in. You know, I give you the training aspect. I give you the MLB, live field, all that stuff. Coach Zoe gives you the mental aspects of things on how to work on your craft and how to not get lost and think, you know, that everything is ditto and dandy. Both of us, we have a type of experience that overseas. How many years did you play, bro?
I did 2 years. I would have been back a
Bro.
third, but I had my son this year.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, when I got back from
Congratulations.
overseas, appreciate it. You know, a baby boy, you
Mm-hmm.
know, future barrel up athlete.
Oh,
You know,
you already
so
know, man.
most
We're gonna be
definitely,
here.
yeah, for sure. So, I just didn't go back. I just focused on working and getting an apartment and making
Mm-hmm.
sure, you know, I took care of
Mm-hmm.
my family. So,
Of course.
but you know, that door is not fully closed. You know, because they play over the summer, I could always do like a 3 month contract. Like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
just go to Europe for a summer, and I could take my family too. So, those are the things that we could probably do down the road. But
Of course.
you know, I did 2 years. Had an amazing experience. Went to a bunch of countries in Europe, and that's another thing, guys. Like, I asked myself, do I want to play indie ball in Kentucky, or do I want to go to Europe? You know what I'm saying? And I chose Europe. So
Of course.
I understand indie ball is cool and all that, but you make more money overseas, to be honest. Like
Of
those
course.
big guys out there, those draft picks, and I met a bunch of guys out there that were really, really, you know, making, you know, 2, 3, 4,000 euros a month. You know what I'm saying? Like that's way more than you make in the indie ball. Indie ball, you're not cracking $1,000 if you're not a big guy, a big name guy. So they pay for your housing, they pay for your flights. So why wouldn't you want to be in Europe?
Would you consider playing DR? Says my brother Ronnie.
Would he consider playing the All-Winning League? Yeah, I would.
Hell yeah. That's the second thing close to the major leagues right now. You know, it's
Absolutely.
been for a while. I have a question here from a fan. He asked
Go
me,
ahead.
what was the biggest factor that contributed to your success in baseball? All right, I'll give you my take on that. That was Axel. Let me see. Axel Patochi. So, Coach Zoe gave you a little bit about his story. I'll give you a little bit about mine. I was born in Massachusetts. I lived here in New York for, let me see, until I was 10 years old, until 5th grade. Then I moved to Dominican Republic. My father bought a house out there. I moved over there, my mother and my father. And that's where I got introduced to the real game of baseball. Like I was playing out here. In Van Cortlandt. You know Johnny from Van Cortlandt?
Mm-hmm.
And then when I went over there, I got introduced to Lo Matatane, the people that really know about the game of baseball.
Yeah.
I ascended really quickly. I got picked up by an academy, Luis Polonia Baseball Academy. Luis Polonia used to be a Yankee player in the majors, Detroit, played for the Braves in '95, won the World Series. He has 5 World Series rings. So anybody
Wow.
that was there was somebody. I'll tell you this much. You know? And, you know, it just made me the player who I was. And I would say that when I came down back over here, I was ready to get signed over there. I had pro scouts basically up the, you know what, watching me and stuff, but I needed the age. requirement, which was 16. I came back at 15. What really helped me as a baseball player was the following: that I didn't change things that worked. If it worked, I'm sticking with it. I wasn't this type of player that, let's say, if I have this batting stance and you know I hit this way and it's working for me, and all of a sudden I go 0 for 4, then I'm already looking to change something. No. What really helped me was staying consistent and knowing how to trust my tools. You know, you're only as good as the work you put in. So I knew I had talent. Everybody knew I had that talent. But it would be a dumb move for me as a young kid or something like that to start switching up or to start trying to imitate, which I see a lot of players nowadays. Guys, listen. Do not change or do not try to imitate major league players. Major league players are major league players because they're doing things that work for them. That doesn't necessarily gonna, you know, that's not gonna necessarily work for me. So, Axel, that's what really helped me develop myself as a good player and as a college player as well. Control the controllables and do not try to do too much. You know, baseball is such a simple sport, but people make it so even harder than what it is. Like simple in the sense that you just gotta work on your craft and not try to outshine yourself. Barrel to the baseball. If you're pitching, get your mechanics right. Form the base. Not just try to hit a home run. Not just try to swing for the fences, you know? Control the controllables.
I'm gonna start off with what AV_baseball said, because he's my guy. But consistency is key in the game, you know, and that's one of the most important things. And I would say that's what helped me. One of the things that helped me within staying true to myself, sort of kind of coming to the game with better energy, you know, and really, really just trying to be a positive person. Like baseball is a game of failure, where like
Yes.
you have to learn to embrace the negative. You have to learn to embrace the things that aren't so pretty, you know. But it's the beautiful thing about the game that it teaches you so much about life.
It's
Like
such a game of failure that in 10 at-bats, if you get 3 hits and you fail 7 times, you're considered great. You failed 7 times. You just got 3 hits in 10 at-bats. You failed 7.
So
you're considered great.
I would say as I got older, I started to really be able to like dissect my swing and sort of kind of analyze that AB and see what went right and went wrong and do it better the next time. So that comes with time, like being able to be that like in tune with yourself. So I would say for the young guys out there, really be in tune, really become in tune with yourself. Really love your craft, like love what you do, like find happiness and joy in what you do. And sometimes you may have to sacrifice a little bit of your social life. You may have to, you know, not be the guy turning up all the time or partying in college, or, you know, you're going to have your fun, learn how to manage that, you know,
Right.
But to get to where you see yourself, you know, you're going to have to move a little different, you know, and it's not easy.
Of course. Of course. Now, Lorenzo, or my as you say, Coach Zoe, let's talk about the hot topic that has brought us together, that has really had my mind swirling. You know, it's sad to see a Cano, Robinson Cano, not apologizing, number one, for his actions. He apologized the first time. This time around, I see him as, I gotta try and prove myself. You know, number one, guys, I love Robinson Cano. I love Robinson Cano as a player. He has messed up for the second time. He's used performance-enhancing drugs. Shout out to Wesley, professional player for the Arizona Diamondbacks, just joining the live. Thank you.
He went to Monroe, right? That's the dude that went to Monroe.
He went to he went to G-Dubs. He went to G-Dubs.
Sorry.
Monroe, that's the arch nemesis.
That's the arch nemesis. Sorry. He went to G-Dubs. Wow, it's good to see him still doing well. I was at one of his championship games once. So
my guy throws
really
98, bro. 98 miles per hour. Yeah, he's a prime example of a player that made it. Well, that's on the verge of making it from New York. What did he do? If you see my last episode, Coach Zoe, you're gonna see what kind of discipline this kid has. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Back to the Cano thing. Yo, I see him in the Dominican League, and his first at bat, like 380 home run. His second at bat, 3-something, another home run, bro. And I'm like, if you weren't that stupid of a human being, you would be doing great in the majors in this upcoming year, because he just finished off in the 60 game season. He just finished off with a 310 average, 10 bombs, and like 50 something RBIs. And I asked the question on my platform just to get the fans' reaction. I put the video up of Cano. Steroids or talent? Surprisingly enough, or not surprisingly enough, everybody said talent. So why use it? Why taint your career? Why go to the extent of ruining your legacy? And this is where I'm going to go hard. And I want fans to understand. Steroids does not make you hit 500 home runs. Steroids is not going to make you throw 90 miles per hour if you don't put in the work. You know what steroids really does? It allows the player to withstand on a 162-game season when you're traveling every 3 days. It makes you stay on the field. You could be the best player in the world. If you're tired, you're not going to hit today, bro.
Yeah.
For recovery, it gives you muscle. Muscle don't make you hit the ball, though. Am I right or am I wrong? Guys, what are you saying? But Coach Zoe, let's go.
They say talent fades, so he had the juice to keep up the pace. That's true. Pressure to perform, that's true.
Pressure to perform, that's true. That's true.
Money, baseball's a business, so he's a multi-millionaire. Talking about $100+ million. So it's the pressure to live up to that.
We cannot reward this though.
I mean, he was already rewarded, so that's already out the window. Now it's like,
after this, we can't say, oh yeah, we gotta lay the hammer. I love the guy. We gotta lay the hammer, bro. Yeah. It's not the steroids swinging every day. Yeah. It's the talent. Without the talent, there's nothing.
Yeah. It goes like this. This is perfect because as we were talking earlier, I'm reading this book called The Monk That Sold His Ferrari. Right?
Monk That Sold. Yo, that's crazy. My father told me to read that.
Right. And on page 110, it says, identify the things that are holding you back. Are you scared of speaking, or do you have trouble in your relationship? Do you lack a positive attitude, or do you need more energy? Make a written inventory of your weaknesses. Satisfied people are far more thoughtful than others. Take the time to reflect on what it is that might be keeping you from the life you really want, and know deep down you can have. Once you have identified what your weaknesses are, the next step is to face them head on and attack your fears. So if you fear public speaking, sign up to give 20 speeches. So with that being said, like we all have things like sports are like 70% mental. So we all have things that are in our mind that may be holding us back from tapping in to our full potential. So that's what I'm saying. I cleared up a lot of things from my past and things that I had going on, like in my own personal life off the field. Once I was able to really wash that out, I had more room to focus on baseball and my craft. So that's the thing. Whatever it is going on with him psychologically and mentally, he has to tap into that because there's something holding him back. So I know he's not that dumb to think like he's not on the major league radar anymore. As he's getting older in age, he's still performing at a high level. Like you don't see him like LeBron James, spending $1.7 million a year on his fitness.
No,
he's not. So it sort of kind of raises the question of what's going on. So
what's going on?
I think for guys out there, try to tap into yourself mentally because there's something in you, and then there's this inner beast inside of you that you have to go seeking.
Yes.
And once you tap into that inner beast, you're going to be a bad man or a bad woman. And that's what's going to make you different. That's what's going to make you between average and great.
But in order to do this, Zoe, there has to be the following. And this is where I say, you know, there's something called the draft, right? They're trying to make that universal. A lot of people in the Dominican Republic are like, nah, hell no. And these countries, no, because that's gonna hinder the trainers' pockets. They're gonna have to go to school. No, go to school, get educated, to know how to deal with hard times or declining times. There was a better call to action for Cano. You already tested positive once, my brother. You understand what I'm saying? And that's just leaving an example to the youth. If you make it and you're doing great and you get this $1 million contract, the only way to maintain it is by juicing. And when I say this loud and proudly. The youth is very receptive of what these major leaguers are doing. Mm-hmm. Because it keeps on happening within the quote-unquote Dominican culture. We don't see Puerto Ricans much getting caught. We don't see Cubans much getting caught. We see right now Dominican Republic players getting caught. Let's go down to the roots, though. Let's go down to the roots. Where's your education? You want to get signed for $2 million, Major League Baseball, which I'm going to lay the hammer down right now. You got to really adjust these contracts down there. These players have little to no education. And you want to get signed for $5 million. You want to give these kids millions of dollars with no education, no financial education, no education whatsoever. What do you think they're going to do?
That's facts. You just made up a very, very good point on financial literacy. You know,
Cano is very financial literate, I would say. Here, though, emotionally, you just pointed out something very, very, very astronomically important. Yo, there's something going on in his mental that persuaded him to do such acts. At this point in his career, a player that is not a Nelson Cruz, that as he ages, he gets better like wine, 40 home runs at the age of 42, you know? Thank you, Prince, for saying school is not fair. Getting educated does not require school.
Boom. Read books. You know, that's the thing. So there's this myth. So, Mr. Prince, school isn't for everyone, and you are pro school, and I understand that. But there's ways to educate yourself, like this podcast, you know, who's putting information out there. It's what you do with the information that's on you. You know, I put it out there. It's either you take it or you let it fly.
Correct.
But there's books out there. There's AV baseball platform. There's so much information out there. But are you applying that information?
Are you coachable? Are you coachable? Are you ready to hear, yo, you're not gonna make, you gotta work harder. You gotta be good on the criticism. Oh, word, let me work harder. Let me self-develop myself. Because if I'm good now, I'm only going to a higher level where this good is not gonna take, it's only gonna take me so far. Are you coachable? No. Mother want to take the easy way out. Inject themselves. Yo, cuando yo estaba en Santo Domingo, you had coaches, you know, prospects, the number one doubted prospects of each academy that had the talent, that were working hard, they were going to get better regardless. You know what they did? Those coaches, seen by my own eyes. Yo, you got to try out today. The trial starts at 9. Be here at 7 because, you know, te toca la pollita, papa. Just try to spice them up a little more to get more money at the contract bonus. Signing bonus. Yo, if you take this, you throw in 91, 92, today you're going to throw 94. They're going to like you more. They're going to give you more. That means more for my pocket. There's no education. There is no education. They treat it as a business. And for those players and those people that think that sending their kids overseas to get drafted or to get signed, that's a great idea. If you got the talent, go do it. Supervise your children. What's going on? What's happening? What they're eating? Who they're hanging out with? What they're being introduced to. Because at the end of the day, my brother, in these third world countries, my country itself, We only have for this. It's all about the mother money. All about the mother money. So we're gonna try and produce the best product. Baseball, the best product. Give you the best, and we're gonna take it to the max. If we gotta inject your son, we're gonna do it. Here, kids do that shit. Do it as well.
Yeah, I think I think it gets a little crazy just because I've had college teammates who juiced,
Yeah,
and coached, and they're so gung ho on integrity. Like, bro, if you juice and you're a coach, like, don't talk about integrity. Like, try to talk about another word or something like that, because integrity is the last thing you should ever be talking about. So, going back to Cano, I just think whoever's in his circle, like whoever's in his camp, I'm sure he didn't do this by himself.
of
Like, I'm
course
sure there
not.
were people that advised him and knew about him. So that's just the company you keep. As they say,
Mm-hmm.
you are who your friends are. So
Mm-hmm.
it sort of kind of is in a Dominican culture, to be a little machista. They think sometimes you think you're above everything, like you're above like the money and the power and the influence that you have. You untouchable. You know, so he probably thought, hey, I did it once, maybe I won't get caught again. Maybe I could do something different. Maybe I could tighten up my system, but he got caught. And
It comes back to haunt you, bro.
it always comes back to haunt you, and that goes off to your mindset off the field. It's
Mm-hmm.
the universe is always watching. Negative energy, negative acts follows negative energy.
Right.
And that's something that is gonna go with you. So no matter what, your subconscious is always working. That's what you do in your dreams. That's what you see when you're daydreaming. So either way, this guy that was always gonna follow you. And whether you got away with it or not, you have to live with that no matter what. So the guys, no matter how old you are, if you've done some things you're not proud of to someone or something, try to make that right. Because why? That blocks your blessings.
Of course.
And that's negative energy that's on your shoulder.
Of course.
You know, and your baseball career may not go your way because of something you did. To be honest, I'm a big believer in the universe and the energy that we surround ourselves and the frequency that we around. So be careful, because
There was a
that's
Go ahead, go
gonna
ahead.
affect your life on the field.
Hmm. There was a fan that commented on the Instagram post, something along the lines like this. Oh, just like you said, Cano has to had been influenced by the wrong people, the wrong thing, and that happened after he left New York. I said, wrong. That was happening while he was in New York as well. Because his crowd of people to hang out with wasn't Jeter. It was A-Rod, it was Melky Cabrera, and them. I love A-Rod, I love Melky Cabrera, but it goes to show, you are who you hang around with. And
Yes,
it's very easy to get influence. And people say, oh,
yes,
nah, that will never be me. Yeah, when you got a $240 million contract laying on your shoulders and you don't produce, that AAA player is breathing down your neck.
yes,
You know what I'm
100%.
saying?
And imagine him being the young guy who he hasn't gotten paid yet, but you around A-Rod who got paid. He got two contracts over 200 million. So
Facts.
for him, it's just like, yo, if A-Rod did it, I got to do it too.
Yo, and surprisingly enough, the way they caught him, they tested him in the off season. That's a little biased, I would say, negatively when it comes to, those testing protocols. We
You're,
haven't
you're
seen
still
much.
you're still an MLB employee. That's why you're
There we
still
go.
you're an MLB
But
employee.
during the off season, my nigga, like for real.
Yeah, I mean, yo, you're an employee. Like you're like you get your check is from the team, but you're still a major league employee.
Oh my God. Carlos Gomez, before retiring, he left this to say. He said, I don't find it fair to have to know that I have to randomly get tested when he was in Tampa Bay Rays. I have to randomly get tested twice to three times a week, and they just pull up on me. Why me? What am I doing wrong? I've never tested positive or whatever. And that's something that I feel that MLB officials should take a look into. it's not just the Dominican players or minority players that are dirty that are using.
Yeah.
There's a lot of white players as well, and I don't mean this racially, as I'm going for a race over the other. No, I believe in the human race. Okay, I believe in there's only one race, but there's a lot of players that are white that have been under the radar that you know for a fact they're doing something dirty,
Yeah.
but it doesn't go to show or it doesn't call to action to play victim either. You're getting checked because you're using. The majority of you are using. What do you think? Where else are we gonna check? Think about it that way. We're giving them a reason too. The last white player I heard to test positive was what? Ryan Braun, maybe? Or you know?
Yeah, something like that. I'm sure there was somebody after him, but
Maybe
nonetheless,
somebody after him. Don't say
listen.
sorry and then do it again. Because now you leave us fans and us baseball guys like,
So
yeah,
Ron Buckets, they let steroids fly because baseball was fading away. So that
right.
the home run era, the steroid era, like that
What was the
saved
question he
baseball.
asked? So that,
No, he
fans
said
know.
best time in baseball was the steroid era with Sammy, Mark, and Bond. Of course it was. It's almost like the dunk or a touchdown. Like baseball home runs, is what
It
fascinates
makes
people.
sense.
Like someone who never played baseball would tell you, "Yo, you about to hit a home run today, right?" Knowing like they don't even know how hard it is to hit a home run. But it's the most fascinating part. A strikeout, a home run, or a World Series are like the
Zoe,
grandest things about baseball.
Zoe, can you please, possibly, that's my brother Ron Buckets. Can you possibly explain to him, because we had this argument a while back ago, that steroids does not make you hit home runs. You have to have the natural talent to begin with to hit home runs.
Yeah. So
Give me your
that
take
that's
on that.
that's why I mean it's called enhancement drugs. So it enhances your already ability. So there's a lot of guys, you can check the post university roster. I won't say no names, but look at some averages and probably some of the lowest, those guys were juice heads,
Mm-hmm.
and you get offered things, you get guys, hey, this is how much a cycle costs and this is what you got to do. You got to take a shot every day at this time. You got to take these pills a day, all of this stuff. But that wasn't me. That wasn't my speed. If I can't attain it through hard work, then it's just not for me, But steroids doesn't make you hit a baseball. It doesn't. It doesn't. It just enhances your ability to do things, your body, and recover.
It keeps you recovering faster than usual.
Yeah, but it allows you to put your body through more,
Mm-hmm.
so that way you have higher and more results. But it doesn't say it doesn't make you hit a baseball.
It doesn't
You
help you
still have
hit
to
more,
make.
Ron. It helps you stay in the game longer and actually see the ball better.
Yeah, it doesn't. It
Does it
doesn't.
help you
It
hit
doesn't
more?
make.
Maybe
No.
maybe you can correlate it there. But
I think you still got to
I
be
got
able
a
to hit
question.
first.
I got a
You still
question.
got
You can
to. All
answer
right,
this for
hold
me.
on. Look at Barry Bonds. Look at A-Rod. Those guys were pure hitters before the steroids.
Yes.
You got to be able to hit. If you can't hit, then it means nothing. So if you can't hit, then
Now is that the
steroids are
same
not.
thing? Now is that the same thing for a pitcher, though? If I'm throwing 89 without roids, right? He calls me Ben, by the way. He said thanks, Ben. But if I'm throwing 89 without roids and I take roids, am I gonna throw 94?
No,
No, right? Because it's
no.
all in the mechanics and what
It's in your
I'm using my
mechanics.
legs.
You know what it is? A lot of it is when this is what I love about baseball and love about sports is that sports is your craft. It helps you hit the ball further. You still got to make contact first. So you can't. So contact matters. So you can hit it further. You can hit it harder, but you got to make contact first.
And
So
if you can't
we-
make contact, you're
we're,
done.
we're worried about what happens afterwards. Like even like launch angle. Launch angle is after you hit a baseball, not
Of
before
course.
you hit a
Of
baseball.
course.
So yes, it hits you. Yes, it allows you to hit the ball further and harder. But you have to make contact first. So the beautiful thing about baseball and sports is that it's your craft. It's your baby. So it's about finding what works for your body. What works for you, like your routine. You know, and how your body reacts to certain flows and things. So like, I was hitting 357, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go back to my approach from last year. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I went back to, and sure enough, it worked. So I'm sure I would have probably hit over 500 had I just stuck to what I was doing the year before. But everybody's talking about charging up your hands, so I'm like, I guess I got to do that, and it does result in further home runs and further hit balls. But my contact and my strikeouts went up. So I'm like, here I am swinging harder, swinging more for the fences, hitting further home runs, but my strikeout total went up. So with pitchers, it is a little different, but you still have to find that release. You still have to find the right workouts. You still got to find the right gym. You still got to put the right things in your body. It's a lot of things you got to discover. Yeah, it's gonna help, but imagine if you like a Roger Clemens who's already a dog. Now that only takes that dog to being a big dog. Like it takes him to a whole nother level. A-Rod was already a dog with his all he can naturally do, plus that baseball time.
Manny Ramirez was already a dog.
Already a dog.
McGuire was already a dog. Sammy Sosa was already a dog.
Big Papi was not a dog with the 6 home runs in Minnesota. But he went to Red Sox, and his whole Big Papi definitely juice, 100%.
For 100%, I was gonna ask 100%. You. Are you sure? You sure?
100%. Look up his numbers in Minnesota.
I mean, I'm gonna look that up, but you don't have to start your career hitting. You can evolve to that. But I guess that.
Listen, he wasn't a stellar first baseman. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure he was a body. He had potential. He has a beautiful swing. He does a lot of things right. He can hit. But whatever happened in the rest, also he probably met the right coach.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at some guys, on certain teams,
Ron,
they just didn't do certain things. But when you meet the right hitting coach and he gives you that one piece of knowledge, it changes everything.
Jose Bautista.
Yes.
Example A.
That's example A. Big example, right?
He was in the majors for 10 years.
Do drugs.
Yes, I think he did. He was on that book. He was on that report.
Listen, whoever. All right, put it this way: Big Papi did a good job of taking care of those people who knew. If you get snitched on, that means you stop paying the people you had to pay off. That means you were getting too close to the fire, or whatever it is. Because the Major League Baseball, when you're talking about big amount of money, it's all a mafia. You gotta pay your hush money. You gotta make sure that you keep people quiet. You take care of people. You keep things in order and keep things in line.
The other side of the quarter.
Or unless you have a snitch like Jose Canseco, you know what I'm saying? That's a different story.
You ever seen the Netflix documentary Screwball? It explains the whole Alex Rodriguez fiasco.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of that, man. But honestly, man, just tap into your mental. You can practice as hard as you want every day. If you're not mentally sound, then the game is not going to be as fun. You're not going to be able to be as productive. You're not going to be able to really put in as much work as you can. And you're not going to see everything. Like, mentally get yourself strong. Like, we all are
capable,
but we're all dealing with a lot of different things in life, different traumas, generational traumas, also how you're spoken to. That sort of kind of becomes your identity, how the things that you hear. If you hear like positive things like, oh, I am capable, you're the best, you're great. But if you hear the opposite of that, then that wraps around your identity. And it's hard to really become anything in life, whether you're going to be a businessman, Harvard law student, or anything. If you don't hear positive things, manifestations, and are around a high frequency people, then it's kind of hard to really become something big if you're around people so small and so negative.
In a game of failure and in life, most of the skills and morals I've learned it throughout playing the game of baseball. I get hit by a pitch, I get back up. Rough day, let's get back up. I strike out, I'm gonna find something, just a change. You learn so much that you apply to life. And you learn that the most important thing is you gotta have fun with it. It's just a game. And if you don't have fun with it, what are you doing? It turns into a business itself for you. The
Yeah.
pressure. I got to do this. I have to do this. How am I going to do this? Inyectado. No. Suck
One
away.
thing I could tell, one thing I could tell the kids, try to work out with a purpose. You know, like I see kids, you know, try not to focus on the camera so much. Cause I know kids, you know, you can edit a video and take that one good swing and post it, and you go to get a whole bunch of fire emojis and you lit and all of that. But you know, it's not the truth. You know, like if you could post a swing and miss, then you're an honest guy.
Of
You know what I'm
course.
saying? Like that's humbling right there because you posted your flaws, your mistakes. But Instagram is not baseball. Not everything is glorified. You know, not everything is fake. You know, baseball is real. It's gonna humble you quick. Like you
Very
can hit a
quick.
ball as hard as you can and get out. You know, and you can hit a ball 3 feet and get a base hit. You know, so it's the most ass backward game you could ever think of, but it's so beautiful because it teaches you so much about life. So work on the things that you're uncomfortable doing. Like, don't just set the tee down the middle. You know, move it on the tee, put the tee inside, and turn on that ball. Put the tee outside and hit the ball the other way. You
Like I
know,
always say, practice how you would play. Practice scenarios. Practice fundamentals. If you're practicing on your game, you got to know how to play the game as well. A big advantage for high schoolers going into college. If you know how to play the game, college coaches will notice. You know, that's just a plus.
here's a little short story, very short. Freshman year at Hollows, was I physically capable of playing varsity? Yes. Was I mentally? No. And that's the difference between JV players and varsity players.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's not really the physical, but it's the mental because you have to have a baseball IQ. So the guy who did, the only freshman that played was Jason Perez. I'll never forget it. I don't think he played college. Did he play college baseball? Maybe shortly, but probably not. But anyway, he got to a point where when him as 14 years old, his baseball IQ was through the roof. Like he had that intelligence on the field,
Mhm.
right? Was I better than him? Could I hit a ball further than him? Did I throw harder than him? All those things. But his baseball IQ was set him apart because you want a guy who's going to be able to mentally take those pressure situations, be able to make plays in pressure situations, and that goes with the mental side of baseball. I was remember, and I'd only been good in baseball for like 2 years at that point. So physically I was there, but mentally I wasn't, and that's what that 1 year in JV did, where I got to mentally get into the game and the summer baseball with the Bonnies. But that's a lot. That it's not easy to say something like that, but that's the truth. Like you have to be mentally sound to
Uh-huh.
play at a high level.
Correlating what you just said to the physical skills, how mentally sound you have to be to play at that level to get noticed. That's what separates an amateur from a professional.
Yep.
The professional is going to make the routine, no matter what moment it is. Bottom of the ninth, 3-2. You know where you got to make that out. You know, but the amateur is going to focus on making the fancy play, trying to make the fancy play, but they can't even focus on making the routine. There's a difference between an amateur player and a professional player. Professional players make the routine 100% of the time. They have this ready first before anything. Any final words, my brother, before we wrap up today? You want to ask the
I
fans?
mean,
Guys, ask us some questions.
yeah.
Mauro.
Any questions you guys got? Go subscribe to my YouTube channel, Conversations with Zoe. A lot of different off baseball, just more life related topics. Just because those are the things that are the obstacles that we face that sort of kind of hinder our growth as athletes. So I like to talk about a lot of those things. I want to thank you for having me. Also, you know that this is big. You know, we just spoke about this hours ago.
Yeah,
You
we
know, it's
did.
crazy. We had such a great conversation, and that just shows you like good energy. Like you're a high frequency guy, and we just bonded. Like this is actually. I mean, we've spoken a lot, like in DMs and like
Yeah, we
in the
have.
group
We,
chats,
we,
but
we were part of an engagement group together.
yeah, so it was kind of cool, like to come together. But if you guys have any questions, my last thing that I want to say is just work on the things that make you uncomfortable, and just be willing to sacrifice. You know, sometimes personal time, sometimes family times. Like I know I missed a lot of family events because I was away at a game or I was at practice or stuff like that. Like there's a balance that you'll find as you get older, but sometimes you just sort of kind of got to stay out the way and make sure you stay safe. For New York City baseball players or any city baseball players, we all know a lot of us live in like different neighborhoods. A lot of live in neighborhoods that aren't that safe. Honestly, if you don't got no business to be outside, just be in the house. You know, talk to your parents, tell them how you want to have your friends over. Take it like back in the day, have sleepovers. But being on the block and putting your career at risk or your life at risk, you know, like the streets love nobody, you know. So
Nobody.
you can't be a gangster and a baseball player at the same time. It just doesn't work out.
There you have it. There you have it. Guys, I want to thank you today for tuning in to this exclusive content that we provided to you today. Myself, John Carlos, and Lorenzo, a.k.a. Coach Zoe. Before we go, I want to invite you one day to come and practice with myself and maybe some of my players so that obviously we can network, because this just forms a bond from here on out that is going to not only benefit myself, my program, but yourself and your program.
Yeah.
And I already have visions that you can only imagine already formulating in my head. And I said in the last episode before, I am promising to myself and to the community that I will be a pillar into those that want to take the game to the next level, that want to learn about the college process, that want to learn about the scouting process, getting scouted.
Yeah.
So it takes, and it's not just me. It takes people like us to solidify that bridge, so that people or kids that are coming up don't have to go through what we went through, that don't have to have temptations at steroids when they have the talent.
Yep.
With that being said, guys, thank you for tuning in. Subscribe to Coach Zoe's Insta. Actually, follow him on Instagram. You guys are going to see if you're on the live right now, you see the ad name. Follow him. Subscribe to his YouTube channel, Conversations with Zoe, right?
Yep.
And obviously subscribe to the YouTube channel, BarrelUp Podcast. Follow us on IG. And we want to thank you for this time. We talked about a lot today, a little bit of an overview. We gave you an insight of what it takes to be a college athlete. We gave you an insight of the right things to do, the wrong things to do as a person. We talked about steroids. We talked about what it takes to get seen. We talked about life after baseball. And you only saw it here on BarrelUp. This episode will be aired both on YouTube and on Instagram.
What was my train of thought? Because he just got me with that one, so I had to put that up. But, damn.
You were talking about, damn, I forgot too. It was something very important.
Yeah, it was really important. Viewers, help us out. What was I saying?
What was he saying?
Estoy con nada más y nada menos que el rey de hit, Luis Colonia. Muchas gracias por darme la oportunidad.
BarrelUp podcast was here.
Tenemos un gran contenido con un pilar de béisbol, Domingo Leiva, segunda base de las grandes ligas de Arizona Diamondbacks. Mi hermano, ¿cómo te sientes?
Tranquilo, manito, gracias a Dios, ¿sabes?
BarrelUp podcast was here.
Ese es mi compañero Darryl. Bienvenido a BarrelUp Podcast. Gracias por
BarrelUp podcast was here.
mi hermano Willy Adames.
¿Qué es lo que, brother? ¿Qué es lo que? Dime a ver,
Siempre,
bro.
bro.
Todo bien, ¿y tú cómo tú estás?
BarrelUp podcast was here. We were here. You need to be here.